It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about things. When we're hindered or disturbed, let us never blame others but ourselves, that is, our opinions. When I heard this quote, my reaction wasn't inspiration, it was resistance. Because on the surface, it sounds like he's saying everything is the fault, and that feels unfair. People do hurtful things, situations really are difficult, life isn't neutral. But the more I sit with this quote, the more I realize Epictetus isn't denying reality. He's pointing at where suffering actually lands. Because something can happen to you without disturbing you, and something else, much smaller, can completely ruin your day. The difference isn't the event, it's the meaning you attach to it. I noticed this how quickly things become personal. A short reply suddenly means rejection, a missed opportunity becomes failure, a small mistake turns into a story about who I am. The event itself is simple, the interpretation is heavy. And the Epictetus is saying that this interpretation is where the real disturbance begins. And what's uncomfortable about this idea is that it removes some excuses, because if it's not the thing itself, then waiting for the world to change won't actually bring peace. You can change job, you can change cities, relationships, people, and still feel the same reactions show up again and again in different phases, same inner response. That's humbling because it suggests that the common denominator isn't life, it's us. And that doesn't mean blame, it means attention. Epictetus isn't like telling you to ignore pain, he's asking you to notice what happens after the event. The the commentary, the narrative you said to it, the assumptions that rush in immediately. Most of the times, we don't experience event directly, we experience them through a filter. And that filter is built out of past experiences, insecurities, expectations, and fears. So, two people can hear the same words and feel completely different level of hurt. Not because one is weak and one is strong, but because their interpretation is different. What I find especially relevant today is how quickly opinions form. There's no pause, no space. Something happens, and instantly the mind decides what it means about the future, about other people, about yourself. And once that opinion is formed, your emotions follow it faithfully. Anger feels justified, anxiety feels necessary, sadness feels inevitable. And Epictetus is quietly asking, what if the opinion is optional? Not easy to drop, but optional. What if there's a small window between what happens and how you interpret? And what if that window is where freedom lives? Because if your peace depends entirely on other people behaving correctly, on life unfolding smoothly, on circumstances aligning, then peace is fragile. It's always conditional. But if disturbance comes from opinions, then peace becomes portable. Not permanent, not constant, but accessible. That's a very different way to relate to life. It doesn't make you passive, it make you less reactive. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what am I telling myself about this? And that question alone changes the texture of experience. I don't think Epictetus expected perfection. I think he expected awareness to notice when we add meaning that wasn't strictly necessary. To notice when we turn events into identities, and to notice how often we suffer not because of what happened, but because of what we decided it meant, right? By attaching a meaning to it. And maybe that's the like quiet power here. No control over life, but responsibility for interpretation. Because if opinions create disturbance, then questioning them is an act of self-respect.